We step into the world of big dreams, big moves, and big money. It's the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. After 40 years, the Big Cheese remains dedicated to serving the finest Italian dinners, pizza, pasta, subs, and salads. All of their pasta is imported from Italy and cooked fresh every day. Visit BigCheeseMiami.com. Now, let's find out who's the Big Cheese the Miami Hurricanes are working on with insider Manny Navarro.
Right, here we are. The man, the myth, the legend. How you feeling, baby? You feeling good?
Feeling good, how are you?
Very good, very good. What'd you think of that news, before I ask you about NIL and recruiting, that Miller Moss won't be the full-time quarterback, that they may be using two quarterbacks against Miami? What'd you think about that?
Little gamesmanship. Give something Miami, give them something to think about. Look, in the end, this is one of the best offensive minds in college football. Jeff Brom is. He's a really good play caller, and he's looking for whatever advantage he can create here in this game, because he knows he's going against one of the best teams in the country. So, most coaches don't announce their chess moves before they do it. My guess here is he's trying to play some mind games.
Got it. Go ahead. I got you. All right. But just to ask, is there some go ahead, man, get what you want. You're good, bro. Is there some kind of a threat with that second quarterback? I gotta just ask that. Is there reason why Brom would mention it, just outside of, okay, let's keep these guys busy? They're gonna be a load to deal with for my offensive line as it is, and all that kind of stuff. Is this like a running quarterback or something that they want him to prepare for, or what's the deal?
Yeah, he's got a little bit more of a running ability, certainly, than Moss does. This offense has been pretty stale. The Louisville offense to this point has not been as explosive as they want. They're not getting a lot out of their running game. Isaac Brown is a really good player, but they're short one of their backs. Duke Watson's going to be out again. He's been banged up, so I can see them essentially using this, more mobile quarterback to create more options in the running game, to run maybe some more RPO, to give Miami a different wrinkle. But in the end, when they want to throw the football, it's going to be with Miller Moss. So, look, Georgia Tech employed it last year. Go back and look at the way Miami lost that game. There were two quarterbacks in that game. One of them threw the football because he could, and the other one didn't because he couldn't. Right. So I think Jeff Brom's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing, and he's going to probably do the same thing in this game to try to throw Miami's defense off.
Well, the good thing is, Manny, that Miami now has a smart guy on defense too. We had a dumb guy on defense before. We had a guy that is kind of like Mike McDaniel, couldn't adjust, couldn't figure things out, whatever. But now we actually have like a real defensive coordinator. He can adjust and all that. So, yeah, I feel better right now about I'm not as concerned anymore about those situations.
Yeah, there really isn't a reason to panic, because I think as long as Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor continue to put pressure on the quarterback, and Miami does a responsible job filling holes. You go back to the USF game against Byron Brown, who's probably as mobile a quarterback as there is in the country. I think he finished with 1 rushing yard in that game. So the Hurricanes know how to play against a running quarterback. They showed it earlier this year. Louisville's offensive line is average. They're not very good. I think they're 77th in pressure rate. Miami's number 1 by far, the best in the ACC, best in the country. So I think it's just going to come down to how responsible are these guys. And with 2 weeks to prepare for this game, I would put my money on Corey Heatherman to not really be too confused out there. Jeff Brom's opening series may be good. A lot of these coaches are very good with the scripted series, but I think after that, we'll see what happens.
Manny, I for me, before I ask you about the recruiting stuff here, the 13.5 points makes me a little nervous. I think they can win by the 14, actually. I think they can win by 14, 17, 20 points in this week. But I really love the 50.5. I love the over.
Yeah, I could see this
being up 14, 20 points, and I can see the Canes cranking 30 plus.
Yeah, look, it's a Friday night game. Weird things happen on Friday nights. I usually see more, sort of defensive breakdowns on Friday night games. I don't know why. It just happens. You see turnovers, you see bigger plays. So, yeah, I think the over is better. When I made my predictions this week, I said Miami would win by a touchdown to 10 points. So I don't think they'll cover the 14 because I think Louisville is going to keep them within striking distance. But in the end, I think Miami wins this game
Yeah.
by a touchdown or more.
But you like the 50.5?
Yeah, I think 50.5 is a good bet. I mean, I could see this being a 35-24 game or something. This
Exactly.
could be a game where Louisville scores points and Miami has to kind of score one at the end to kind of put it away. You know what I mean?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
listen,
That's why I would not play with the only thing we talked about is you go with the live line
mm,
and okay, let's say Louisville gets the ball. And so the first drive, Miami, maybe they get thrown off a little bit. Louisville scores quickly, and then that line drops from 13.5 to like 9 or something. And then
right.
that's when you pounce on that line at that point. That's when I would do it. But right now, for me, early on, pregame, I think the over right now is the value pick right now.
I agree. I think I could see your thinking with that for sure.
All right, they lost the 2026 commit, man. What's the latest there?
Yeah, Kenton Dobson, kid who just reclassified. I think we talked about him last week. Kid
Yes.
from Miami Norland. If you remember from our conversations earlier this year, Bill Parcells in North Carolina have been throwing a lot of money at this kid, trying to get him to flip from Miami's class, and ultimately last night he did. Shortly after reclassifying to 2026, so he told 247 Sports the way North Carolina staff valued him as a priority, and the chance to be coached by Bill Belichick is why Kenton Dobson ultimately decided to flip. But I'll say this: he may get there, and Bill may already be gone. So I think I made a bold prediction. We had to turn in our staff predictions for the second half of the season, and we've already had, I think, 6 Power 4 coaches fired. 8 total coaches fired in college football so far. I think I said there'll be 6 more Power 4 coaches. I think there'll be changes at Florida, Florida State, North Carolina. I think Auburn, Kentucky.
Wow.
There's going to be a lot of movement, I think, this year because I think a lot of schools see what everybody else is doing, and it's a sort of a panic mode type thing. I know Florida State's situation with Mike Norvell is a little different. He's got a bigger buyout, and they got to figure out what to do there, but. Uh, there's been some pretty devastating losses here for some of these programs in the last week or two, and I could see changes on the horizon.
Yeah, I just I would check that kid's mental stability if he's picking North Carolina. Is he not watching what's going on? Yeah, it's money, you think, Sean? Because
Well,
I don't
it's
think
got to
North
be.
Carolina's NIL is any better than Miami's.
Yeah, but he says he wants them to be a priority, which means they're probably giving him maybe a little bit more than what Miami offered him. So he felt he's a priority there.
I don't know.
I
What
just-
do you you think money's the issue?
Well, I think opportunity playing time. That's part of the deal too, right? When you jump on board a team like Miami versus a team like North Carolina, it's such a shit show in Chapel Trail right and Chapel Hill right now that just about anybody could walk in the door and start there. So it's that's part of it, and I'm sure the money is a big part of it. But ultimately, everybody's driven by different circumstances, right? And maybe this kid just wants to go over there for those reasons, and that's fine. And I'll say this for Miami, they got the number 12 ranked recruiting class. They've got 5 other defensive backs in this class, and did I mention other coaches are getting fired across the country? I
Yeah.
mean, those recruiting classes are coming apart as well, and so I think there's some players that are going to be available here to Miami soon.
The beauty for the Canes are if you continue to win, your recruiting classes will get stronger because you are now getting deep into the season and you're going to be one of the top teams. And if you take care of business in the ACC and you go to the playoffs and all that, the kid that went to North Carolina will be begging you to come back, and you'll say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I had no scholarship for you." And so then that's it. You're just going to tell them, "No suit for you, no contract
Hey,
for you."
listen. This is part of the game. Okay, people forget this, but Malachi Tony, who is now a star from Miami, went through the same process. He wanted to decommit. He was looking at other schools. Are they going to pay me enough? In the end, he's here and he's balling out for Miami. So things work themselves out. The problem with recruiting is that it's a never-ending soap opera. right? Up until the moment the kids finally land on campus, you don't know what's going to happen. And even then, they could be gone the next semester or even 2 weeks later. So I think as long as Miami wins, gets into the college football playoff, if they win the ACC, forget about it. They're going to have a top 10 class for sure. People are going to really buy into this, but they've got to finish the season strong. And we've been saying this since the summertime, since we've been talking in the offseason. Oh, if you're going to maintain what you've got as a program, you've got to prove that you can actually get to the finish line and not just talk about getting to the finish line.
Yeah, and by the way, if Beck finishes strong, now you've put 2 quarterbacks on a positive into the draft. That is just going to be so beautiful. What do you got, Sean?
Manny, got a question for you, which is probably going to turn into about 3 or 4 here.
Okay.
All right. So your guess is that Norville and Napier get fired from Florida and Florida State. How does that affect everything going on with recruiting as far as Miami getting some of those recruits? And are there any recruits that they are already vying for, I guess, right now?
Poaching.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot. I mean, Penn State is a good example. They already last night or 2 nights ago, I think they offered a 3-star defensive lineman from Delaware that's been committed to Penn State that they like a lot. They're going after the number 1 running back in the 2027 class who had been committed to Penn State. He's a Pennsylvania kid. So doors are going to open. And obviously all the Florida and Florida State guys are majority of them from here in the Southeast. So Miami's that's the thing about Mario is I don't want to just signal out and say one guy because there's thousands. Like Mario does his homework on all these kids. Like this is a recruiting machine down here. So to me, I think there's plenty of targets that are commitments. Kendall Gervil's one that sticks out in my mind. He's a 4-star top 100 recruit who's part of the Florida recruiting class. He's from Fort Myers High School. Miami has his teammate in the 2026 class, who's an elite, guy who's Joel Irvin, who's going to be a starting left tackle potentially next season. So there's a lot of examples of guys that they can get in on. And I think with everything that's going on at Florida State, and in terms of people just saying, oh, we need to fire the coaches, there's going to be so much upheaval, so much player movement from here until signing day that it's going to be nuts. And in the end, these kids, even if they sign a national letter of intent, let's not forget, I mean, Julian Sayin, who's the number 2 quarterback in the country right now over at Ohio State in terms of quarterback efficiency, he signed with Alabama. Nick Saban retired. A week later, he was at Ohio State. So, the door is always open to leave. And I think if Miami finishes this season strong, they can pretty much have anyone they want in the country.
All right. Good stuff. What's the focus now when we look at the 2026 class? What are they looking to?
Well, yeah. That's why I brought up Gerbil, because he's an elite defensive lineman. I think defensive line is the one area where they continue to want to add, key pieces. They've been going after a 5-star edge rusher, Anthony Jones. I've mentioned him on the show before, from Mobile, Alabama. He's an Oregon commitment. Oregon, of course, lost to Indiana last weekend, and he's been coming down here quite a bit, visiting Miami. He's a flip candidate, a serious,
By the
top
way,
dog guy.
Does Indiana know they're supposed to suck at football?
What's amazing is that coach, not that recruiting rankings mean everything, but if you look at the 247 Sports talent composite list, and you look at the top 25 teams in the country, and you're like, well, that makes sense. This team is the 15th most talented roster. Miami, I think, is 15th, right? So they're second. Alabama is first or second, and they're in the top 5 or whatever. Like, it all makes sense. But then you look at Indiana, they're 72nd. In team talent composite. Like, it's just nuts. Like, how do these guys, in terms of what these guys were recruited as coming out of high school, how do they turn it all? I mean, it's an amazing testament to Kurt Cignetti and just what an amazing coach and staff he's put together, because they've recognized guys in the portal that just make sense for them and fit perfectly. And that's ultimately what this has come down to. It used to be about stacking, back in the day. Used to be just about, you're going to, if you're Alabama or Georgia, you're going to pay all these kids illegally. You're going to bring them all in. You're going to win national championships, right? Ohio State, same thing. Well, now it's an even playing field. So you can't stack anymore. So what you have to do is really know these kids, because you can't miss. You can't spend $10 million and miss on a kid, right? You have to be smart. So the coaches who really recruit and really know the players well are the ones that are being successful, which is why Mario right now is successful, which is
he's
why
killer.
Cignetti is successful, which is why you look at the best teams in the country. It's not just people who throw money; it's people who actually know what they're doing with the money.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
almost
where
like Indiana's playing Moneyball right now in college football style because they don't
it
have
really
the same
is.
money as everybody else, but they've got to be very creative and very selective of who they bring. And somehow or another, that staff knows how to maximize all their guys, man. Pretty good.
He basically has a roster of group of 6 all-stars is what he did. He went out and he got all the cheap group of 6 kids that are, low 3-star recruits, 2 stars, no stars, that are not really good players, guys in the recruiting trip, and he put them on. And then now that he's having the success and Penn State is firing its coach and other people are firing their coaches, he looks like a genius, and kids want to go play for him. So he's going to get better players here
Right.
in going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. So the focus now for Mario in the 26 class is more along the lines, the defensive line.
Defensive line, because I think they've got 3 commitments there right now, and there's a lot of guys that they have been on for a while. I think that's the primary focus. James Johnson from Miami Northwestern's been committed to Texas. Texas has 2 losses. I know they just beat Oklahoma, but that's a program that you look at from afar and you say, man, maybe they lose a couple more games, and this kid doesn't want to go there anymore. So it's the way the world works now, man. It's just like I said, it's a drama every single day with recruiting, and I think Miami is in on a lot of guys on that defensive line. I'm not in the least bit worried. I think that they're going to be just fine when we come to December signing day.
All right. Final question on the recruiting front. James Franklin just got canned.
Yep.
How does that affect anything out there?
Yeah, well, I mentioned Kaman Spell, the defensive lineman. He's the number 1 running back in the 2027 class, but the defensive lineman Isaac Chukwuroa of Delaware is another guy that Miami is on. Again, all of these firings, all of these guys getting canned opens the door for Mario. And look, Penn State mainly recruits the Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania type area. And so I think any guys that are in there that Miami has scouted before are now on the table for the Canes, and those are 2 examples that they're after.
All right, good stuff. What do you got going on in the athletics so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, I had a Cane story earlier this week, breaking down the challenges on the schedule ahead. Who are the toughest remaining obstacles to win the season? So if you want to read up more about the Canes and my intense analytical breakdown going forward, you can check that out. I also have my audience predictions, and our midseason All-American teams are coming out. I have a freshman All-American team, and Malachi Tony's on there.
All right, good stuff. Follow him on Twitter at Manny_Navarro and catch his work there at The Athletic. Manny, as always, thank you, my brother. We will catch up tomorrow night after the game.
Sounds good. Talk soon.
You got it. All right, BigCheeseMiami.com. Go visit our friends at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue. The walls are like a Hurricanes Hall of Fame. There's over 40 years of memories, pictures, autographs, all that. And then the food, of course, is just absolutely amazing. The pasta shipped from Italy, fresh, cooked fresh daily. Doesn't matter if you're having lasagna, baked ziti, cheese ravioli, stuffed shells, fried mozzarella. Started off with those delicious garlic rolls. They give you a little pizza sauce on the side to dip. You're going to love it. And we got the holiday season coming around. So they've got the party platters. And by the way, they've got a patio area that you can rent up to 40 people. So if you're looking for some kind of a get-together, a party, birthday, whatever it is, some kind of a celebration, reach out to the Big Cheese. You can rent out their patio area up to 40 people. They'll take care of you. 305-662-6855. Go to the website, BigCheeseMiami.com.
You've been listening to the Big Cheese Miami Recruiting and NIL Report with Manny Navarro. At the Big Cheese Miami, they continue to purchase the same high-quality ingredients that the most expensive Italian restaurants use. The difference is they serve large portions at a family price. Visit the Big Cheese at 8080 Southwest 67th Avenue in Miami. Call 305-662-6855 or go to thebigcheesemiami.com. Go Canes!